John Manning, you've been a big part of Rockingham Park, and I know that you have a lot of opinions about its situation and the closing of things like that. So you want to talk a little bit about that first?
Yeah,
And if you could take the microphone.
I can remember when I started in the hospitals, and my father was racing up here at Rockingham Park. I was 16 years old, and I liked it so much that I moved out of my house in South Weymouth and moved up here to New Hampshire just to be at the racetrack. And I met Lou Smith. I met his wife and Kenny Graff and a lot of good people along the way. What people don't know is if you look at 93, the Boulevard, and the man that had a lot to do with building that into the track with the traffic issues was Richard Cardinal Cushing, along with Lou Smith. And they did a nice job. Lou Smith was very tough because he ran a real clean racetrack. He had individuals to do flowers, he had individuals to every little thing over there. And I remember a trainer named Eddie Anspach. He had 40 horses over the track, and the shed was always a mess. Lou Smith liked cleanness. He went down to Eddie Anspach's barn, who had 40 horses, and told Eddie Anspach to clean his barn up, rake his shed row, and if it wasn't done, that Lou Smith would have 4 vans there the next day to move his horses out. Move out if he didn't clean up his area. They thought Lou Smith was fooling around. Lou Smith wasn't fooling around. The next morning there was 4 vans there to take Eddie Anspach's horse out. Okay, and but they worked things out to the well. But you have a lot of history up there with the Jack Vanberg, John Lenzini, Jimmy Pratt, Del Livingston, and if you look at the menus I have here at the restaurant, I have a lot of memories and a lot of people that was associated with Rockingham Park. Jockeys, trainers, outriders, some owners, everything to do with Rockingham Park. And that's funny. I trained up there almost over 40 years. I raised my family through there. I was a very successful trainer, and I was also the outrider over there at the racetrack. And the outrider is the type of guy that will catch the loose horses and maintain security on the track itself. I also was involved with the track kitchen over there, which was a big part of the racetrack. You've got to understand, any racetrack is like a world all by itself. They have their own chapels, they have their own stores, they have their own restaurants, they have their own dormitories. They take care of their own, and they've done a very good job. And people used to say, the crime that goes with horse racing. Well, I hate to differ with you. If you look at the crime rate when Rockingham Park was here, very minimal, hardly anything at all. Okay, but people loved Rockingham Park. There's a lot of memories at Rockingham Park, and for one, all I've done there at Rockingham Park, I wanted to keep those memories alive. That's why I opened up the Rockingham Cafe. Joe Farrell has a lot of decisions to make, but as a community, we have to help Joe move along with his plans at Rockingham Park. Some we may not like, and Joe Farrell is working along with the malls to see if he can work with the malls and different people in the community. Whatever becomes of Rockingham Park from here on out, I'm sure it's going to be nice. It's just sad when I go by there and see all the barns torn down, and I'm sure you've been by there and you've taken pictures. I know I have, and it's just a sad day for Salem, and it's a sad day for New Hampshire. We're going to lose a lot of revenue. Someone has to make up for those taxes that Rockingham Park is paying for every year. They were number 1 in taxes for a lot of years. They were number 1 throughout the community. They did an awful lot for this community, and we just can't forget Rockingham Park. I remember back in 1980, it was a foggy day, rainy, and I was galloping horses at the racetrack. And I just happened to ride up to the track and I saw a lot of smoke. I came back and I saw security. I said, the place is on fire up there. He said, John, it's just the fog. I said, it's not fog. That's on fire up there. And I went back to the barn and jumped on another horse, and I came back out to the racetrack, and that place was in flames. I mean, it went quick. It really went quick. So I'm looking at it, and I met with the HPPA, which I'm a member of. What do we do now? Where do we go from here? Are we going to race? Race is canceled? Is racing done? No, it did not. We put tents up to continue racing while the grandstand was being built. Ed Callahan had a lot to do with that because he wanted to keep racing alive. You know, you forget that Rockingham Park on horse racing, thoroughbred racing, would do 1 million or better a day. The thoroughbreds would bring a lot of people into that community, and they did for years. They did for years. And they talk about traffic, which bothered me. That they say if you had the casinos, it'd be a traffic issue. I like to tell you, you couldn't have a better access in Rockingham Park, 90 feet where it is. The traffic wouldn't be any more different today than it was when you had thousands and 40,000 people coming back up here in the 1990s or the 1913s. There's an on section and an off section, okay? And it was good for Salem because it would keep the business alive too. But the traffic issue was no issue whatsoever. It was no issue. It was a perfect place for the casinos, okay? Ed Callahan tried, and he fought. And actually, I was with Ed Callahan yesterday. Does Ed Callahan have a tear in his eye? You know he does. He meant a lot to this community as well. He gave a lot to the communities the charities up here. He did a lot. That track was never empty. They always came to Ed Callahan, and Ed Callahan never said no. I remember when I had a problem at that racetrack, and I was strapped. I had my ups and downs like everybody else. And the one man that came to that and helped me out was Ed Callahan. And I'm going to tell you something. It was way back when I was going to lose my home. And Ed Callahan came forward and paid my mortgage for me. And that's the type of guy Ed Callahan was. He reached out, he helped anybody he could. He gave everybody a job. Whether they fit the job or they didn't fit the job, he would find a job for somebody. He never turned anybody away. But I can tell you that the people that I'm going to miss at Rockingham Park is people like Ed Callahan, Joe Connie, who passed on, God bless him. Okay, the Connies did a lot for us up there. But I can tell you, when I first came to Rockingham Park, I had a horse called Debret. He was the first son of Secretariat. And this was a funny little story. And I was stable at Suffolk Downs. And then one of the secretaries asked me where Debret was. And I said to him, he's getting for Rockingham Park, he's getting ready to race at Rockingham. Well, the next day I had a letter to get off Suffolk Downs property and take all my horses because I was coming to Rockingham Park. Joe Connie and Ed Callahan said, John, we're not ready to open, but you bring your horses up. So I did. I went to Rockingham Park with 45 horses, okay, and with open arms. And I kept saying to myself, I have one horse by Secretariat, and I was going to have him ready for opening day. And I hope this horse don't let me down. He's got to win opening day. Well, we trained. Opening day came, and Debret, son of Secretariat, didn't let me down. He won by 22 lengths first time out. You had good trainers up there. You had good owners up there. And Ed Callahan stood on top of them all. Ed Callahan never said no. Ed Callahan was all for Rockingham Park. And he did what was best for Rockingham Park and did one hell of a job to this day.